Election integrity. I know this was a priority for you before you were at the DOJ. I knew you then. You're planning now to send 1,000 election observers to monitor voting activities during the midterm. Some people are skeptical about that. We're running a poll right now on our X account, and people are worried that that still may not be enough. What other measures might you take to ensure security if the Save America Act does not pass?
Well, the Save America Act is, again, in politics, it's independent. I think Congress needs to do a lot of things to fix our voting laws, and I've testified about that before I took this job. But I think people need to remember that we are not the election police. We are enforcing our federal civil rights laws, including numerous federal election statutes, but we are only a small portion of the monitoring effort. Before I took this job, I was an election monitor for candidates and for parties, and that effort is ongoing as well. And I understand that there's a strong effort to send monitors, official monitors from the Senate and the House, and that happens on a bipartisan basis. So there are actually thousands of eyes and ears out there from both parties, and people who've been contacting me saying, how can I be part of your DOJ effort? Well, you can't, but you certainly can call your county, whatever party you're in, and volunteer and get out there and do this. My mom did this in rural North Carolina when I was a kid, and I'm doing it today on behalf of the United States. And so we're really proud of the people who step up. It's important that we have eyes and ears on our voting and on the tabulation, and unfortunately it goes on forever in some states like California, so that needs shifts of people to do that work.
I imagine you've had eyes and ears on some of these videos emerging from Minnesota. The far-left group CARE is calling for now a criminal probe of independent journalists who have exposed the fact that if you go in with a burqa and you pretend to be a Muslim voter and you don't have ID in Minnesota, you can go ahead and vote. And they say that you could vouch for up to 8 other unregistered individuals. We have a video about that. I want to play that and get your reaction.
They're from the Gaza Strip. And, well, these guys were actually members of Hamas. And they want to vote today.
Okay.
It's okay?
So you would be under oath letting us know that they are eligible to vote in this precinct.
So if I declare I'm a Hamas terrorist and I want to vote in Minnesota, but I also swear an oath that I live there in Minnesota, it's okay. How is this happening in America?
Well, let's unpack that a little bit. First of all, one's political views are not necessarily relevant to whether you're a qualified voter. Citizenship is relevant to that. I think the bigger problem in what you saw in that video is Minnesota's vouching system, which is something that the Department of Justice has actually been challenging dating back to January of this year when I sent a letter to the Secretary of State over there. I don't think that this procedure is compliant with the Help America Vote Act and potentially other federal civil rights statutes. And so, you know, timing of taking action on these issues is a, litigation decision. And so I can't comment on what may happen with that. But I think that that procedure is definitely highly questionable. But people also need to know that the Civil Rights Division before this Trump administration was effectively going after states and localities that were trying to require voter ID and trying to make it better and more fair to vote. And that needs to change. It has changed under this administration. We actually support that, but eventually Congress is going to need to make very clear in fixing some of these loopholes that states are using. And we have to have only citizens voting in federal elections. That is incredibly important. And what we have learned just in the last few weeks from New Jersey and numerous other jurisdictions, including prosecutions that DOJ has done, there was an indictment today, that non-citizens are canceling out the votes of American citizens.
Unreal.
That is unacceptable for 1 or 1,000, so we're going to stop it.